everybody, welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. It is Francis with the Zoo Crew. I have Joe and I have Carrie, who is currently air traffic controlling with his new headsets that he bought at the Dunkin' Donuts down the road. Gentlemen, we are here because some news has happened. It's time for some news, and normally I try to find like kind of funny, goofy, weird news, and I try to stay away from like the sad, depressing news, but like sometimes those two things mesh together. Sometimes, all the times, those two things seem to be meshing together today. So we've got a couple of things to talk about. First off is Houthi's boys chat, and then we're also going to talk about some Venmo. And Carrie, I know you had something to bring to the group too. About JD Vance, somebody you spoke to. So
yes.
So Carrie, why don't you share with us first?
I mean, essentially, and this is, in the grand tradition of military rumor, this is something I, heard from a guy who was in Vance's unit, or heard from a guy who was in Vance's unit, but essentially that he was, in fact, the weird dude, which really comes to no one's surprise, but like in a way that wasn't even necessarily like, didn't have to keep a log of when he showered, nothing like that, but more just the Will did have to put him on solitary details. Like, he's not the guy, he's not like out there scamming with his buddy, like trying to stay away from the unit. No, he's the one that you'd like put on property inspection by himself because like you don't want him around.
He's the guy that you say, hey, you're in charge of doing, like if he was a lieutenant, he would be in charge of piss detail like Posebek was. Like it sounds, yeah. And let me tell you something, because I also was public affairs, just like our illustrious VP, and PAO is always full of the fucking weirdos. It's a MOS that attracts weirdos, but I'm gonna say normal weirdos, like your normal soldier tries to do some skating, but also like one of our guys like in Iraq brought the entire collection of Dragon Ball Z on DVD so that he could watch it.
I don't see anything weird about that.
I mean, the weirdest thing about that is that he wasn't in the Air Force.
Well, he was public affairs, which is like the Air Force of the Army, I think. So public affairs is full of, and it's also full of like, it's got a lot of good soldiers and it got a lot of shitty soldiers. The people, when I came back from Iraq, the unit that replaced us, which was a unit out of Hawaii, like their lieutenant, their commander, and their first sergeant both got removed after 2 months there because they were
impressive.
They were fucking. So like, the NCO and the top NCO and the top commander were both fucking, which is a big no-no. In
that is adorable. That is star-crossed lovers.
Which is funny because we had our not our first sergeant, but our second sergeant, I guess, one of our sergeant first classes, who was fucking one of our lieutenants. So,
I see at the point that you use the term second sergeant, I start to think that you're just making shit up.
I am making shit up. That's not a second sergeant is not a thing. He was the second highest ranking NCO.
You really got to look out for the third sergeant.
Third sergeant.
No one ever suspects the third sergeant. You're going to start Francis is going to start telling us these stories that are something like out of MASH. He's going to, well, then Corporal Captain so-and-so. It's like, that's not a real thing. I saw that. I saw that episode.
Some Warhammer 40K ranks you got going on over there. In the reserves.
I was the 9th sergeant, I think. We had a lot of sergeants that were up ahead of me.
When the sergeant with the gun shoots, when the sergeant with the gun gets killed, the sergeant with the bullet steps up and shoots.
The stories I've heard about Vance remind me a lot of because obviously I wrote a whole book about my illustrious military career and how I worked way harder to get out of work than if I just did my job, which led me to be on a lot of details away from jobs I didn't want to do with the weird people that they sent to be on these details. And I think any shammer, shamurai, sham artist, whatever you want to call them, has gotten stuck with a Vance on a detail before, and you have to do the mental arithmetic of like, is this still worth it?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is yes. Whatever shitty job whatever shitty job they sent the weirdo to go do is so meaningless that it is a better place to be than doing your actual job in the military.
And the one good thing is they're going to try really hard about that.
Yeah.
They're going to put a lot of effort into it, and you're not. And it's going to be great because it doesn't matter anyway.
Yep.
So they're going to get pissed off at you because you did not try. And the result
I can't believe
same.
Specialist Horton didn't come out here and help me flip all these rocks upside down. Like while I'm over smoking my 7th cigarette in 15 minutes, being like, whatever, man. I don't give a shit. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? I didn't flip the rocks over. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. We're here because nobody wants to look at you.
A memory that sticks out in my head was I got stuck on inventorying tents one time.
God.
And the thing is like, I know we inventoried them at least 2 weeks before and nothing had changed. I really, really, really wanted to get out of Motor Pool Monday because I didn't want a PMCS. I don't remember if it was a Humvee or a tank at the time, if I was in a light or a heavy unit. I really just didn't want to fucking do it because it's a whole day activity for people who aren't aware. Motor Pool Monday sucks ass. And they're like, oh yeah, give me one. I was like, fuck, I raised my hand. They're like, oh, you're gonna go over here with the supply room guy. It wasn't even the sergeant. So that's how you know it's definitely not important that the supply sergeant isn't even involved. And like, oh, you're gonna go lay out the tents. I was like, yeah, sure, all right. It was me, the supply specialist, who's not the sergeant, and the weird guy. And me and the supply dude knew each other. We had deployed with each other before, and we just sat over under the gazebo smoking, watching this dipshit unload the tents. Despite the fact we told him like, hey bro, you don't really need to do that. Nobody's gonna come over and look at him. And he's like, oh well, you know, I really don't want to get you. And this guy wasn't like E1 or anything. He was also a specialist. He'd been around the block a few times. He knew that nobody was going to come and look at them, but he's going to do it anyway. And fast forward like 4 fucking hours or whatever it was, a very long period of time to do nothing. The supply sergeant comes back. Like, oh yeah, you guys can pack it all up. LT's not coming over today. All right. I was like, all right, motherfucker, you unrolled them all. You can put them all back up too. Yeah. We told you not to do that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I remember getting, I had to do a rescue and survival inspection for like all of our like flare kits and whatever else that we had in our in our survival vests. And so like brought it onto the boat. We, on our little buoy tender, we had like the tiniest little fucking TV with DVD player. So like, put in a dumb movie. We're just kind of like half, working at this shit. And like, yep, is it still there? Yep. Okay. Is it expired? Yep. All right. What? We're good. And then like, the rescue and survival pay officer came down. I was like, what are you doing? It's like, I don't know, the inspection. Like, what do you expect, man? Like, well, you gotta like, you're just like watching the movie. It's like, no, dude, it's just, make it happen. It's all fine. Like, what do you want?
The job,
got done.
Right. The job is done. Like, what do you want? I gotta say the best sham job I remember in Iraq was burn barrel duty, where you'd have, when you worked in an office, you'd have these like red stripe brown bags that you would throw all your classified information in, or anything really, like anything that you printed out went into the burn bag.
You just stuff JD Vance directly into the
stuff
bag.
Him right on in there. No, I wouldn't want to try to shove him into a burn barrel. It's gonna smell bad. But we would go out, you take this big thing, and you're not. It's just, basically it's a hobo barrel that you go out to. It's far away from everything. There's just like, and the military is always funny about how they keep things like fire related safe, because it'll just be like, look, out there we put engineer tape out there. That's the square that you can stand in and smoke cigarettes. If you step outside of that and smoke a cigarette outside of that, we will murder you.
You'll die.
Yeah. So the burn barrel is in one of these things. It's in the middle, like big flat area, engineer tape around it, and like a singular fire extinguisher sat next to it that just sits out in the sun all day, which I can't think is good for it, but whatever. But that's like a 4 hour.
0% chance that thing fucking worked.
No, there's like that's a 4 hour job if you time it right, because you can't just like dump the whole thing in, right? You got to make sure everything burns. So you got to do like 4 or 5 pieces of paper at a time.
This is such great like future practice for being a dad.
Yeah, I did.
Like have to cook 4 burgers will take 4 hours about it.
Yeah. Well, and also as we're standing there by this burn barrel that is ejecting obviously smoke and ash in the air, of course the first thing you're going to do is smoke 12 cigarettes while you're out there too. So it was a great place to sit and hang out with your buds and smoke cigarettes and not have to do real work.
Yeah. I will say, I know we probably have to move on, but for young soldiers out there listening, or maybe people thinking about going into the military, if you sham too hard, it can bite you in the ass. And that happened to me when I left Fort Knox, because I volunteered to be on so many meaningless details that I eventually became the meaningless detail guy, which is not necessarily a bad title to have, assuming you keep track of how many meaningless details you are in fact in charge of, which I did not. I was signing so much paperwork and taking so many things, responsibilities would be a strong word for them, that I did not know what I was in charge of anymore. Again, I was working harder to get out of work than I was if I would just stay doing my job. And somehow I ended up in charge of about 20 padlocks because surprise, that's all that secures the hatch of a tank in a motor pool is a padlock.
It's all that secures your your arms room too.
Yeah, exactly. And these aren't line tanks. These are tanks that we use for lieutenants training, like they call it bullock, armored bullock. Now it's all done in Georgia, from my understanding. But I ended up being in charge of all of these padlocks, and I had no idea how or when this occurred. But when I was getting ready to out-process Knox, I had a hand receipt for about 20 or 30 fucking padlocks. I had no idea where they were. I had no idea where the keys were. So I had effectively secured all of these tanks, promptly lost the keys to all of them, doing some other meaningless detail that I was doing, and then
Toss them in the burn bag.
Well, what probably happened was someone's like, "Hey, do you got the keys?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure, fine, here you go," and I walked off, not remembering that I had signed for them all, because again, I was just trying to get out of work. And so when I was out processing to go to Hood, I ended up having to pay several $100s in locks. And the funniest part is that nobody was entirely sure where the locks ended up. And there's like 100 and something tanks in this motor pool. Nobody's sure which one of those locks is the ones we no longer have keys to. So after I leave, dozens of soldiers have to like descend upon all of the tanks with the keys that they have, trying to figure out which ones they actually had, which ones they had to cut off. So by me trying to get out of work, I created a whole lot of work for dozens of other people, but most importantly, not myself. So take from that what you will. I didn't have to do any of that.
Well, you had to pay a couple $100 for some locks.
I like that this is going to become like a folk way. Like, I love the idea that, like, 100 years from now, there's the ceremonial like testing of the lock that all dates back to like a mysterious figure named Kasabian.
Yeah, some annoying fucking specialist named Kasabian who just took all the keys and threw them in a sewer.
All right, well, let's talk about Houthi PC small group chat. Let's talk about the group chat. Boys, we've had a group chat for a while. I don't know
what you're talking about.
I don't believe we've discussed any classified information in it. Mostly because
may have.
Nobody tells me shit anymore.
I can say with assurance that we've never ordered an airstrike through our podcast group chat.
I didn't
I think we
realize
may
it was
have
possible.
threatened them. I think we may have threatened them or hoped for them, but we've never ordered one.
Right. I've often hoped somebody would get into a catapult and be flung into the ocean, but I haven't actually done it.
For legal purposes, we have never threatened them. We've idly speculated about.
I feel like threatening an airstrike is fine because we simply do not have the means. That'd be like I'm going to threaten someone with an atomic bomb. Feasibly, I have no means in which to do that.
Right.
I feel like I'm legally protected if I say I'm going to kill you with an atomic bomb.
As your attorney, I encourage you not to test this theorem.
I'm getting from my legal counsel that I should put this on all of my mail to the government.
Next week, we're going to find out about the secret Armenian nuclear bomb. It's like, shit, Joe, what are you doing?
Please do not do this. Please do not, test this theory. Please do not put it as part of your letterhead.
Don't shout it in an airport.
Yeah. This is your letter saying, please stop posting that shit.
It's very funny that it seems that the highest echelons of the American Department of Defense has the same OPSEC as a War Thunder fan.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. We have put in charge, not us, but the United States has put in charge.
Don't look at me, I don't even fucking live there anymore. The executive branch has put in charge a bunch of field grade officers who are undoubtedly the dumbest officers that exist. Anything between an 04 to about an 04 and an 05. I don't know what it is. It's like, how when a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, it gets into the cocoon and then it just kind of turns into mush. I think that's what happens when you become a major. Like your brain just turns into mush. You get rendered to mush.
Yeah, your brain turns into this chrysalis that just turns into goop, and it's like either you're going to get out with this goop brain or you're going to become a full bird kernel. Like one of those two things are going to happen. And trust me, 06 and above have their own kind of goop brain, but at least it coalesces back in. But a major has no purpose. Like there is no reason for a major to exist. There's nothing. You have a lieutenant colonel because you haven't been in long enough to be a colonel, but like major is like I don't know. I don't even know what the equivalent. Like maybe a staff sergeant is about
a
that
major
same.
To me, I'm rewatching Community at the moment, and you know what?
Hell yeah.
a major reminds me of, there's a scene in the first season where they go to like a trophy case and there's a single trophy in it, and the trophy is for best trophy case.
Yeah.
That's a major.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to the point where like the good idea fairy just entirely takes over your brain.
It becomes physical.
Right. What if we had to listen to the good idea fairy? What if we had to do everything the good idea fairy said instead of saying, "Sir, okay, sir, why don't you go sit over there?"
What if the good idea fairy was Secretary of Defense?
What if the good idea fairy was a Nazi? Oh shit.
You have Hegseth, who I guess he was a Marine officer, right? And then you have Gabbard, who was National Guard or Reserve.
Yeah, she's reserve now, I think.
Yeah. And she is an MP, from my understanding.
Yeah, troop cop.
Yeah, the worst kind.
The worst troops and the worst cops.
You have the head of the CIA, who admittedly I don't know a lot about. And then these absolute fucking dipshits invited the editor of The Atlantic into their military signal group chat, a sentence which exists for some reason. Why did that even exist in the first place?
Who do you think that they were trying to add? Who is
the best theory that I've heard is that either, I mean, there's everyone claiming it was just like, he was added on purpose, yada yada yada, but
famously the people claiming that he wasn't added on purpose are all the people in the group chat.
Right. But the best theory I've heard is that Trump wants to change like, the relevant Navy command for the Atlantic to like Atlantic Command or something. And so someone added Chief Atlantic thinking it was like, an admiral, and it was actually this dipshit from the Atlantic.
And it just happened. Mike Waltz happens to have this guy's phone number for some reason in his.
That isn't as surprising as you'd think.
Yeah.
Fair enough. The American media sphere is full of like spineless, gutless freaks. So the idea that the head of the CIA might be dropping shit to the editor of The Atlantic is not surprising. What is very funny is like if what Shock said is true, whoever is the head of the group chat, I assume Hegseth or Vance, because they're both in it, was so dumb as to extend the invitation to a guy based on a thing that Trump wanted, but not something that Trump actually did, which is change the name of the naval command, because that hasn't happened.
Yeah,
that tells me it was probably Vance, but I don't know.
So Michael Waltz is who added him. If you look at the screenshots, the Houthi PC small group, and it says added you to the group, and it's Michael Waltz. So Waltz is the one who really dicked this up. But also
so the head of the CIA did this.
Yeah, but also everybody else, like Gabbard, who's the head of our national security, didn't bother to say, "Oh, hey, here's the group chat. Let me scan the people who are in here and make sure this is a good idea." Because here's the thing, it's not. First off, you're on Signal. This is not how you do this.
That's not how the government should communicate. Also, all of them, I think it's fair to say, know the name of the editor of The Atlantic.
Yeah.
I mean, Hegseth worked for Fox News until like 2 weeks ago. He's aware of who this guy is.
Right. So we have the Houthi PC small chat. We have everybody who gets added into here. We have a lot of discussion about adding people into a short kind of the best point of contact for your team for us to coordinate with over the next couple of days over the weekend. A bunch of names get dropped, and then we get into our battle plans, which are not actually battle plans, nor are they classified, as it turns out. Now, Joe, I'm sure that you remember when you and I were in the military, if you posted like, "Hey, we're going outside the wire this week," on Tuesday around in the morning on Facebook, you would get fucked up. Like you would get your wall-to-wall.
I got demoted for it.
Yeah, wall-to-wall counseling is what we call it. And
I didn't even post it. A friend of mine posted that like, this mission is so fucking stupid. Did not say what the mission was. Nothing like that. And I just liked it, and I got demoted. Which, like, what? Fair enough. I did like 100 other things deserving of demotion at that point. So
right, it's one of those like, you're gonna catch me in one thing or another, and like maybe this is the dumbest thing, but
it was 100% that. Like he didn't say what the mission was. He did not say times. He did not say anything. He just said, "This mission is fucking stupid." I was like, "Yeah, it sure fucking is." Hit the like button, and then like 48 hours later.
What if the Taliban is reading your buddy's Facebook and it's just like, we've got them demoralized. Finally, we're winning. Muhammad, we're winning.
Like, look, man, I don't think anybody is aware of how stupid this mission is more than the Taliban.
Yeah, the Taliban knew. That's why they were able to take over so quickly when they got back. So strike packages. Let's see. So they're sending in to fight the Houthis. We're sending in F-18s. They've got it. They call it trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts. They've got times. We've got the MQ-9 Reapers. We've got more launches. The second strike package. This is what. So 415 strike zones on target. Parentheses all capitalized. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop. And then more to follow as they go
times.
through. Yeah.
I remember seeing one of Hegseth's defenses like, well, we never said where we were bombing. Like, well, the group chat is called Houthi group chat. I feel like I could whittle that down to one country specifically.
Right.
And I mean, like all of this too is like, it has a very specific energy and it's, not just like field grade, but it's specifically, and I'm just like thinking of like, like anyone you ever met who was like quote unquote intelligence, who like thought that they were going to be like James fucking Bond. And it's actually like, nah, man, you just like read all the briefings that like filter across your desk. That's like all that your job actually really is.
Yeah, you're like a help desk guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're and I feel like this is the same thing. This is someone who, these are a bunch of field grades who want to be really cool and, secret squirrel. So they're using Signal so they can set their, messages to automatically disappear. Also because, that way they can avoid a FOIA.
At least they weren't using WhatsApp. I mean, if you're going to say one nice thing about them, at least two things. It wasn't WhatsApp and it wasn't like a Facebook group chat.
No, we turned the disappearing messages onto our Facebook group chat. It's fine.
Like, no, you don't understand. I put my Instagram chat on private mode.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the problem, though, because they don't even do that, because we will be talking about how all of these dipshits also leave their Venmos wide open, which is like...
which is the thing that not even my old drug dealer did when I had one, like in Hawaii, buying, because like weed wasn't legal there. But like, there's so many other things to this. Like, how many emojis are we talking about here? Because I haven't read these. I make it my mission to not fuck with this shit as much as I can to keep my sanity, but I feel like there's a lot of emojis.
Why do there's a lot? The prayer hands emojis. There's some fist emojis. There's some fireworks.
Yeah, this is what happens when like Facebook brain rot gets elected into government. Like this is what people would post under in comment sections and shit.
Yeah, we elected people who were too online, and like as a group of people, the three of us who are too online ourselves, we should not be in charge of these things. Well, actually, we should be. We'd probably be a lot
we
smarter.
Do a better job than anyone currently there.
Right. I mean, I would
actually I wouldn't even say arguably, and I'm a fucking idiot.
Right. Like I think the three of us would be able to say, one, we shouldn't be in the Signal chat talking about this, and two, we shouldn't be bombing the Houthis. That doesn't work. We know that because we do it constantly, and it continues to not work. We just happened. Did this, guys.
Yeah. We like not only does it work, but also they're just like, nothing like throwing up a prayers hands emoji when you're just admitted to having committed a war crime.
Yeah, right. You're bombing the wrong country in the Middle East.
Yeah.
That's as far as I'm willing to talk about. If you want to stop the current violence in the Middle East, you're bombing the wrong country. I think we could all agree on that. But there are so many fucking things. And I think it goes without saying is because now a lot of Democrats are starting to pretend that they have like spines, which they don't. And like insisting that Hegseth or Waltz or Gabbard or all of them all need to resign or whatever. Like, it's not going to happen.
No.
You don't hire someone like Pete Hegseth to be Secretary of Defense and not expect him to do something like this. He's a fucking drunk and a rapist. Like, this is what he would do.
I hired a racist alcoholic. I want him to do racist alcoholic things. And there's literally the only thing Pete Hegseth could do to get fired is be like, actually, I think this is a bad idea and we shouldn't kill a bunch of people just because they're not white. Then he's gone. But that'll never happen. So we're not getting there. So yeah, our emojis, Michael Waltz says typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy. We had positive of idea of him walking into his girlfriend's building and now it's a collapse. JD Vance says excellent. John Ratcliffe says good start. And Michael Waltz says fist pound American flag fire emoji.
Wait, by those emojis, it sounds like he bombed America.
It does.
I don't know. I got my emojis mixed up, but I sent a Hellfire missile to Cleveland.
He was the one guy who was confused about the location that they were bombing and thought they were actually planning the next 9/11. That's where there were 19 guys in the group chat.
I'm surprised that they didn't use the Liberian flag, which often gets used, which is also red
that's
and
a
white
solid grandma moment.
Right, red and white stripes, but one big star instead of 50. So like,
That's definitely like a big my mom on Facebook energy.
it is like these are the emojis my mom would send me when like I say, oh, my daughter did really good at Irish dance this week. And it's like, all right,
American flag emoji, fire
American
emoji.
flag. Well, we're Americans, all right. So
Shouldn't it at least be an Irish flag?
so Pete says CENTCOM was/is on point. Great job on all the strikes ongoing for hours tonight, and will provide full initial report, but on time, on target, and good readouts to all. And then Susie Wiles, I don't know who she is, just pops in and says, kudos to all, most particularly those in theater and CENTCOM. Really good. God bless. And then Steve Witkoff gives us prayer hands emoji, bicep emoji, American flag, American flag.
Oh, these people are such fucking losers.
So fucking
That's the thing that bothers me more. Like, yes, they're committing like war crimes, war of aggression
We're
that's
used to
undeclared
that, though.
against Yemen. But those things are going to happen regardless who we put in the Pentagon. It was just happening last year. It'll happen again, right? But like on top of all of that, they're just such insufferable fucking dorks. It reminds me of like when like Tarek from A-Lab ended up getting J.D. Vance, the current vice president of the United States, and noted dipshit member of this group chat to call him Jeff Computers because that's Tarek's tag name on Twitter. But like one of the things, like literally all he did is like on top of everything else, call that these people fucking insufferable nerds and soft as baby shit, and they just can't handle it because they are losers. I don't even like saying nerds because I'm a fucking nerd.
Yeah,
they're losers.
Yeah, these guys fucking suck. So other things that were in here, which I know weren't actually put out onto the in here. Oh, we've got the I just hate bailing Europe out again. So I think the entire plan.
What?
Okay. So here's the argument. So you remember how during the beginning of the Israeli incursion into Gaza, the Houthis,
genocide in Gaza, yes.
The genocide in Gaza, yes.
I don't work for the Democratic Party. You can say the whole thing.
So before Israel completely lost its fucking mind. Well, that's also not.
So this is what 1940,
49.
7?
Yeah. So the idea was when that happened, the Houthis were firing shit at American ships all the time. And like the American ships were like, oh, fuck, hit the button to say that missile goes out of the air and doesn't hit us. And it always worked. So it wasn't that big of a problem. But I guess the Houthis are still lighting people up if they're going through the Suez Canal. And this is a whole like, well, America has to step in and do something about it again. But I'm going to tell you, no, we're not. Even if we killed this guy and, you know, who was the leader of the Houthis,
Mr.
I don't know.
Houthi, yeah.
I don't know if these guys have any kind of object permanence over the last like 20, 25 years of war when you would kill, like we killed the top leader of ISIS and we killed the top leader of the Taliban.
Yeah, we did this so many times.
But yeah.
Well, like, you know, but famously, it has at least worked in the drug war where every time we've, you know, killed someone like Pablo Escobar, it immediately dropped. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah.
And like, it's important to remember that the EU did send ships to take part in this meaningless exercise in Yemen a few months ago, a year ago, however long it was. Quickly realized that it was utterly pointless and stopped.
Right.
Because the Houthis actually aren't damaging.
No.
Much of anything.
They're not that powerful. Like it's not worth this. It would be cheaper just to like, well, we're gonna put a couple more interdiction tomahawks on our boats and call it a day.
It'd be cheaper to just give them the money.
It's cheaper to just do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and that is generally what people have gone back. Insurance rates has gone up on shipping, which reflects, but like even that is all mellowed out. Like the shit really isn't happening anymore. I mean, the Houthi, like the spokespeople of the Houthis, which like not to say anything of how fucking odious of an organization the Houthis are, but like all they're doing is like yelling from an increasingly larger podium. Like they're not really doing much of anything. They're doing what little they can, which isn't much as an armed group that doesn't even control all of Yemen. You know what I mean?
We're
like,
talking about dropping a bomb on a kid that threw a rocket to MRAP. Like this,
which to be fair is something that both the United States and Israel have done multiple times.
True. It's a complete waste of time, money, and effort. as we all know.
It's like I mean, Vance and Trump have this thing of like constantly saying that we're so sick of bailing Europe out of X or Y thing, despite the fact like nothing is happening.
Bailing them out of their good economy.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. We're not doing great over here. But like it reminds me a lot of that meeting with Zelensky when like JD Vance just kept insisting that he throw themselves on the ground and like thank Trump for everything. They would never be happy unless the EU got together and wrote like a formal letter of sucking Donald Trump's dick.
I think that's what everybody's looking for here. Yeah, you can capitulate to Trump, and all it's going to say is like, "Oh, I can get more out of you." Like,
yeah,
I think Columbia College is hopefully going to learn that lesson at some point before they keep getting all their students disappeared off the streets.
No, Francis, you have to understand that Columbia's fine with that. All like the people that come out of this university system are all fucking soulless. The people that chair these university systems are all fucking soulless. Vast majority of them, they progressive wash their politics at a face value only, and inside they're deeply reactionary conservatives. You know, like they're perfectly fine with allowing a legal resident of the United States on a green card and married to an American citizen. They're totally happy with him being disappeared.
Right.
They don't give a fuck.
No.
And I mean, it just happened again. At what university? I believe in Pennsylvania.
Tufts.
At Tufts in Somerville in Massachusetts.
Yeah, at Tufts to a Turkish PhD student, like
who wrote an op-ed a year ago.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. These schools are perfectly happy feeding anyone they need to into a wood chipper because money is at stake and prestige is at stake, and that's the only two things they give a shit about.
Yeah, kids, if you're looking at college, go to the trade schools. You'll probably find less racism there.
I mean, universities are fine. Go to. I don't want to take like the opposite of like hating universities that like conservatives do. Like, go to university and get a meaningful liberal arts education, but just know that your learning institution fucking hates you. You should already know that because how much you paid to go there.
That's true.
Like, that place does not stand for the things it says it does. Go get your fancy piece of paper, get your good education, because there are legitimately good educations to get in places of higher learning, but understand that the institution which you're paying your bills to fucking hates you and does not give a shit about your well-being at all, especially if you're an immigrant.
So let's I want to do one more message read here from Pete Hegseth. So he's got this big long talk about economy, peace, Gaza, Ukrainian peace and everything, and then he says, but we can easily pause, and if we do, I will do all we can to enforce 100% OPSEC. For those of you not in the military, OPSEC is operational security. It's the thing that if you had good OPSEC, you would not be in a signal chat with all of your buddies talking about war crimes. Because look, purposely bombing civilians is a war crime, 100%.
Not only that, but even if you target people who are not civilians in a nation you're not at war with, it's still a war crime.
Right. This is if Mexico decided to fucking waste my entire neighborhood because there is one guy that they saw go into a building here, that's overkill. One, and also that's a war crime. We're not at war with them, and that is just a massive incursion.
If Mexico just started bombing Fort Hood out of nowhere, it would still be illegal. Like, there's many different layers of this that are wildly illegal.
Right.
And when you think about, again, like we said before, that part shouldn't surprise any of us. It's not even like a bullet point in this conversation because that's just something America does now and has since we've all been children. Or before we were even alive, honestly. What is incredible to me is like the layers of OPSEC that were completely nuked in this group chat. And that is everyone from the vice president of the United States down, all were in this and thought it was a good idea.
Right.
Which is incredible.
It shows us that there is not some sort of 4D chess being played here. There's not some sort of like, we'll do this and we'll do that. And, we're doing these things to make something better in the future. They're just racist pieces of shit.
And they're very stupid. We
have to bail Europe out again. Like you said, from fucking what? Like Europe
is
going
able to get on an affordable train.
Yeah,
I mean these are all guys who took like early 2000s like jokes about like having to bail the French out of World War II seriously and have made it the center of their entire ideology.
Right. Europeans are a bunch of fruity old people who run around and
yeah. I mean it's true. To get my Dutch visa, I had to be gay.
Yeah, it's true. You got to suck at least one dick to become a Dutch citizen.
Fine.
I mean it's worth it for all the bike infrastructure there. I'd say
it's That part is true. I think one of the things that this whole group chat saga shows is that now, I don't think any of us would say with a straight face that any other government that we've lived through was full of the best of the best. But most of them were smart enough to know where to do their crimes, where to plot things. What has happened, I think, one of the other things people have said that like one of the main reasons why people object to the first Trump administration and now the second one is that these eroding of institutions and these eroding of optics and these eroding of standards. And I think what has happened and the reason for that is, of course, hatred for those things, but also because the people they put in charge of all of these branches are very, very, very dumb.
Yeah.
Incredibly. Just
they're stupid as fuck.
They're a bunch. Like, if you ever wanted to know what would it be like if all the dumb racists ran the country, you're living it. These are the most insane people ever. I can't say we again. That other people voted for and put in. And I got to say, it's very funny to there's a route that we take to take my daughter to her dance class, and we take this route twice a week. And right after the election, there was a house that had like big Trump signs, and one of them said Trump 2024, and the other one said not garbage, just a red-blooded, God-fearing American lives here. Those signs are gone. Those signs have been gone for a while now. A lot of the Trump signs that I see that kind of get like flown, because I live in a very liberal city. Obviously, I live in St. Louis. It's very like any large city. It's mostly blue, but there are these standout red state people, and boy, have those Trump flags gone away real quick. Although I did the other day, I saw a Cybertruck that had a roofing company ramp on it, and I was just like, man, you guys made a decision, didn't you? I hope that decision works out terribly for you.
I love to buy a truck for my roofing company. It's a really shitty truck.
I want to buy the most useless fucking truck ever.
Yeah, I can't wait to fit 3 sheets of plywood in the back of my Cybertruck,
and then have 3 sheets of plywood in the back of that thing,
and then have it light on fire anyway.
Yeah, I mean the plywood will help with the kindling. Actually, I was talking to my mom on the phone yesterday, and her neighbor still has 2 Trump signs in her front yard, in their front yard, I should say. And I know that this is an ongoing problem because she makes sure to bring it up every time I'm on the phone with her. So
well, it's good to know that that people are starting to see. I'm surprised Elon Musk wasn't in on this one too. That's the biggest surprise that they didn't bring Musk in to. That
part is surprising, to be completely fair. But I think that the Trump love, I think the Musk love is more of a Trump thing. I don't think it's a Vance thing. I don't think it's a Hegseth. Like, they've both been around long enough to have like dead-eyed, true, crazy politics, whereas Trump is just a fan of anybody who tells him how great he is.
Yeah,
and that's all Musk has ever done.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I am, kind of your point earlier, Francis, I am thankful that this is like you don't have to hand it to them, but it's, I don't know, probably good for our country as a whole to see just how much of just like racist dipshits all these people are. And, and I just say that because of all the, every time we get into you can't primary such and such Democratic congressman because, they're a unique talent or something. No, man, so many of these people are just like really fucking dumb. They're propped up by a team of 24-year-old, stare into the middle distance aides.
Look at
just
Schumer's responses to all of this.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh no, we still have to work together with them on the budget and all this other shit. Like, man, I know he's like 106 or whatever, but all of us were old enough to remember what a Republican opposition looks like. And say what you will about a Republican opposition. Say what you will about Republicans at all, individually or as a party. I mean, they're all garbage. But as an opposition, they're incredibly effective.
They're so good
because
at what
they
do.
refuse to fucking work with you.
Yeah.
And what happens when you're in government and things don't work is everything is your fault. Not really, but, that's what it looks like. The Democrats shouldn't be working with Republicans, period. But they keep coming up with mealy-mouthed bullshit reasons as to cast a vote for this person or that bill or this bill. Well, I don't give a fuck if a bill comes up to make something that is very obviously horrible illegal. Vote against it.
Look, I've not been a fan of the Democrats for a very long time, but when the Democrats allowed Cory Bush to get primaried by Wesley Bell locally, Wesley Bell is the most mealy-mouthed fucking ladder climber I've ever seen. People love to use Missouri politics to climb ladders. What's his name? The governor that we had, the Navy SEAL governor, I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, that guy. So So
did he get in trouble for like kidnapping someone?
Yes, for tying a woman to a Nordic track in his basement and raping her. Yeah, that was
Jesus.
Yeah,
and this was after he got elected.
I think it was right before he got elected. And like, look, I don't want, and it's not from what we understood, it was the woman that he was having an affair with that he was taking it too far with. This wasn't some sort of like, I'm a creepy guy who has this like dark secret kind of like, I have a basement full of Nordic tracks that I tie women to, but still gross fucking piece of shit. And glad that we got rid of him. But had he like,
was his name like Greitens or something like that?
Yes, Eric Greitens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why did I remember that? God damn it.
The guy who got elected by machine gunning a lake in Missouri somewhere like that. One of his political ads was just him with a minigun shooting over a lake for some reason. It worked. He was governor. But also, like, if you're just enough of a Republican sycophant in this state, you'll get elected. Like, that's just, we've got even the worst, like, local state people who are just like, no, we want to, like, put women in prison for having a miscarriage kind of shit. We're just...
That's just like mainstream conservative politics now.
Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, my state is red enough to lean into it. But, like, also, we're extremely I wish Missouri, like, was as libertarian as everybody believes it was, because we voted for, yes, we want legalized abortion, and we voted, yes, we want legalized weed, and we voted, yes, we want businesses to pay more money to its workers beyond minimum wage. But yet, here comes our Republican supermajority who comes in and says, no, actually, we're going to overturn all of those things. But I will tell you, it's still real easy.
Have you ever considered Michigan?
Real easy to get a gun here, though. So I don't know how easy it is to get a gun in Michigan, but you can buy and sell guns out of the back of your truck here.
Michigan just sounds like Missouri, but with a Democratic supermajority.
Yeah.
We still got plenty of red, don't get me wrong.
Plenty of racism to go around.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, have you ever seen a Confederate flag in a state where it's never even in the Confederacy? Michigan got you. Do you want abortion guaranteed under the state's constitution? Michigan also weirdly has you.
Yeah. Also, notably, the first state to ever pass right-to-work legislation and then repeal it.
Yeah. Michigan has layers, like an onion and also an ogre, but also like Michigan electoral politics. Democratic supermajority swings for Trump. Okay.
Yeah.
Michigan politics cannot be comprehended by anyone, including us.
It's really vibes based. What's important is that there's still plenty of copper in the walls to rip out. That's the entire economy. Yeah,
that's until Governor Whitmer goes away and then some like Republican ghoul somehow wins election despite it being wildly Democrat. Nothing about that state makes sense.
So Mike Waltz has also done a few other things, like leave his Venmo friends list public. And Venmo is one of the, like, I use Venmo. We all use Venmo because sometimes you got to give somebody $20 and you don't have $20 in cash on you. So you use Venmo.
And I feel like we've all also have a story of how we found out that Venmo comments are public unless otherwise stated.
Yeah.
Like I sent my friend like $20 on Venmo and, for a reason I put that ass. And that's when I realized that other people could see the comment. I was like, oh, fuck.
Don't try to become a politician in American then, because like,
no, I'm gonna become a Dutch member of parliament. So like, oh yeah, so he paid his friend for an ad, like for fucking him. Who cares? It's fine.
No, he paid his friend for a donkey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, my memory of it was always like, joining Venmo for the first time and like, oh, I wonder what this app does, and like clicking on the little feed, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, great to see everyone I know who's like in a relationship who like splits every single check with their significant other and every single bill down the middle. And it's like,
yeah, we call those tickies here in the Netherlands. You say you always send each other tickies.
Yeah, you see that so much on like oh, here's that $7 I owed you for that bottle of wine. And look, I'm not rich by any means, but like I can spot you $7.
I'm never splitting a bill with anybody. Like when the few times I met Shocks like in Washington together, we didn't split the bar tab.
Right.
Like come the fuck on.
I'm not gonna buy like, oh, the three of us are gonna hang out. I'm gonna buy a 6-pack. Everybody kick in $3 for the 6-pack.
Yeah, or like, hey honey, I did buy that toothpaste for you at the store yesterday. So if you could just go ahead and send me that $6.99, that'd be great. Don't forget the tax.
How are you like constantly balls deep inside of somebody, but you're like, no, I still need to give you like $14 for when we went and got Mexican food on Tuesday. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
I paid for groceries last time. You're still fucking eating them, you loser. loser.
Yeah, I don't have to pay you until all the groceries are actually eaten. So
Exactly.
I've still
there's
got
some
like
butter left.
You better eat that can of pinto beans, motherfucker.
Yeah, Venmo is a place that is mostly for drug dealing, I think. Like everybody thinks that, you know, you go on the Silk Road and use Bitcoins to buy drugs, but you don't do that. You go down to the seedy area of your local township and you Venmo a guy $30 for heroin. Like that's how this works here now.
In the comment section, make sure you put not for heroin.
Not for drugs, for heroines, for all of the strong women who are out there making it happen every day.
Just like needle emoji, needle emoji, needle emoji, like
Needle emoji, bed emoji, fucking,
you know, because truly in that way that like, you know, like as a teenager when I was like, 13 and thinking that, we were the first generation to discover the magic number 420. And like, it's like oh, if I just put like, 420, like, no one will ever know what that means. It's an unassailable code. It's like, God, it's so fucking lucky that like no one ever like thought it was like, worthwhile to bust my shit because, like
this is why whenever I bought heroin on Venmo, I just put horse emoji, horse emoji, horse emoji.
Yeah, we used to be a proper country. We used to be able to do our drug deals out in the open, and now we have to do them over Venmo.
Even drug dealers are independent contractors now. You hate to see it. They used to be a member of the organization. There used to be a retirement plan. I mean, the retirement plan was ultimately, getting shoved in a vat of acid. But it was a plan.
Well, I think
we can't say that anymore.
Historically, an opium guild is pretty normal of some kinds.
I mean, the Guild of Opium Dealers in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah, the East India Tea Company on Venmo. So kids, look, don't leave your Venmos open. Matt Gaetz famously left that open and was constantly giving $400 to 18-year-old girls for being his friend,
and almost became Attorney General. So take that for what it's worth. Maybe do leave your Venmo shit open. It doesn't affect you if you get powerful enough.
This is the sort of thing that they don't teach you about career advancement at your local bar association.
So yeah, Venmo, man. They call them, experts call the high name profiles as soft targets. So all these people that these people are connected to, like the feed wasn't open, but the contact lists were. And I don't know, like I use Venmo for, we do pay private lessons for my daughter. There's a few other places. When I'm selling things,
because Americans simply don't have bank transfers from person to person.
We haven't figured out Zelle yet, even though Zelle is installed in everything. We have to use a third-party app that we put money into so that we can send money to one another.
So that's about the difference. I've had to use Zelle a few times recently. I didn't really know why I had to use a new fucking app. So like that's like the bank
I just
transfer.
use the bank app and transfer money directly to the person sitting next to me in seconds.
No, we can't do that in America. we don't.
Joe, I just want to add this occasional reminder for you to go fuck yourself. You might have not seen the Zoo Crew memo that's been riding around the office, but
Why don't you get on your fucking pedal assist bike and fucking drive it into the ocean, buddy?
I might. It sounds lovely.
It's a beautiful day for an ocean swim. A pedal assist bike costs €7 here. It's fine. We dump them into the river all the time.
We're actually using them to build another dike to further solidify the dewatered ground in the Netherlands.
It's a form of Dutch infrastructure. We're going to build a dam out of electric bikes. The battery acid leaking into the lake is just,
as long as they build them out of the fucking fat bikes, I'm sick of them.
Oh, that's always my favorite thing is seeing like a rental scooter tossed into a stream or something and just seeing the slow dying blinking light on it as it gradually just like leaches its battery acids into the body of water.
For you guys and our listeners at home, Google pulling bikes out of the Amsterdam canals. It's a yearly event and they pull thousands of them out.
That's a good time. What do they do? Do they clean them up? Do they
I don't know, they just probably throw them into Rotterdam's canals, I assume. Just drive them down the street and chuck them in a different canal.
They should do like what we did with the USS America, was it? Where an old ship that they're gonna just like detonate to create a false reef. Just create a false reef out of battery acid and bicycles and tires, man. I can only imagine it can only improve things in the oceans these days. We threw something in here to kill you faster just because we didn't want you to suffer anymore. We're gonna kill you, all of you fish, but we wanted to just do it quicker.
Yeah, that's actually now official EPA policy.
What's officially EPA policy is the EPA is no longer a department. But you know what's really weird about the Venmo thing is like, I don't know what it's kind of strange that people that are this important are still using Venmo. You know, like, don't you have an assistant to do that shit?
Yeah, I would be running everything through somebody else. But then again, okay, remember, we're smart. So one, we wouldn't be doing crimes. I don't think any of us would be, if we were in charge of America, we would be doing crimes at all.
I would be doing a lot of crimes, but I wouldn't be doing them on Venmo.
Yeah, fair. I would be, the crimes I would do would be way cooler than the crimes that happen today.
Yeah, the crimes I would commit and the countries I would invade would at least deserve it. That's my campaign promise.
I promise. The only people that will be punished are my full enemies. Hey, look, Kash Patel has an enemies list. I don't see why I shouldn't have one too.
Yeah, didn't he write a whole bunch of children's books about that? Actually,
yeah. It's fun living through the collapse of the American hegemony.
I mean, what's really fun. Speaking of locking up enemies, as I have constantly stated, I live down the street from where the ICC puts its detainees before they go to court, and Rodrigo Duterte of the Philippines has recently been housed down there. There has been nearly constant pro-Duterte protests in The Hague ever since.
Who is flying from the Philippines?
There's a fair amount of Filipinos that live here.
Okay,
yeah, and they have joined forces with
for some reason.
They have joined forces with the local Zionist protesters for common cause against the ICC. And you know, I love the kismet of being like, oh, you're protesting on behalf of a genocidal dictator. I'm protesting on behalf of the genocidal dictator. Let's all go down to the cafe.
We're all gonna hang out and talk about our favorite ways to disappear a dissident.
I was on the train going through a park where one of the protests going on. I saw a Filipino flag side by side with an Israeli one, and the guy on the train next to me is like, I wonder what they're protesting for. I'm like, I have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, if you're ever protesting somebody being at The Hague, you're probably pro-genocide of some kind.
You're on the wrong side of it, but you quite literally are pro-crimes against humanity, pro-genocide, because that's what the people are in there for.
Right, and nobody, it's not American jail where you get thrown in there like accidentally or because we don't like you. Like, you have to have fucked up real hard for somebody to come get you.
It's a corollary to our, like, you know, our military justice theory, which is like, if you have fucked up and like done crimes to the point that like the military justice system is actually going to hold you responsible, you've probably done it.
You did that shit, yeah. If you
know,
get,
like,
I mean, if you end up at the Hague Penitentiary, well, I mean, there's also like the war crimes part is just a wing of it. There's also a normal prison, but if you end up,
there's also a normal prison. There's McDonald's, you know, like a Lush.
They accidentally put Duterte into Gen Pop.
I mean, to be fair, like the rooms that the war criminals stay in are much nicer, and I've seen pictures of them. I have had worse apartments, but like if you are Duterte or anyone else in the war criminal part of the Hague Penitentiary, you have fucked up so bad. Not only have you committed gross crimes against humanity, but you have fucked up so bad that the international community is actually willing to put you in there. Have you seen some of the people that have committed crimes and have warrants and haven't been arrested? You pissed off so many people that you got sold the fuck out. Probably by your own people to end up here. Your country either got invaded and you got fucking snatched up, or your own people sold you out because you fucked up so bad. That's like being an American soldier to actually found guilty of war crime.
I'm thinking about a guy who like moves to the Netherlands and he's just like, the rent prices and buying prices here are too much. I'm going to go become a international despot and do genocide so I can get a nice place at The Hague and finally live my dreams here.
Hey, the rest of the prison is just a normal high security prison, so you could just do any normal amounts of crime.
Well, no, I want to be in the dictator wing. I want to have the nice bed and everything.
Fair enough.
I can go to American prison anytime I want, but if I want to go to The Hague, if I want to, come visit you, I'm going to have to, take over a small country and oppress it violently.
Going to all the trouble of showing up in like the Netherlands and then giving up your fake alias that you've traveled there with, just so that way you can, like, no. I actually was known as just like, the head butcher, please put me in The Hague. I do want an apartment.
Showing up with all your documents to be like, no, I'm a genocidal maniac. Please take me in. Give me 3 hots and a squat.
You might know me better as the horseshoer. Don't look into that too much.
They call me Mr. Hands.
Hey, that was illegal. And actually, no, it wasn't illegal at the time. That man is technically innocent. That's one of the reasons why Washington State had to pass law after he died. Mr. Hands may be disgusting, but he was not a criminal.
The governor of Washington coming out and being like, apparently we have to say this out loud.
Yeah.
Don't let a horse fuck you
Jay
to death.
Inslee, he ran for president afterwards. Did not go great. Because Jay Inslee is a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, because he's anti-horse, obviously.
Look, I'm anti-horse, but for a completely different reason.
Yeah, when I ate horse, it's a lot different than the way Mr. Hands ate horse.
Ugh.
Well, gentlemen, let's go ahead and leave it on Mr. Hands here because it certainly got left on him.
Oh, fucking Christ.
So, moral of the story, don't do war crimes is number one. But secondly, if you insist on doing war crimes, don't do them over Signal. But if you insist on doing the war crimes over Signal, don't invite the head editor of The Atlantic to your war crimes chat.
Or do. So you can all know about it and laugh at you. Because, like, functionally, it's not going to change anything. It's just we get to laugh at the horrors for at least 10 minutes.
No, invite a better journalist and maybe one who, like, isn't, like, aspirationally an IDF prison guard.
Bring Ken Klippenstein into all of your Houthi PC small chats.
Yeah, invite us.
I'll be a journalist. I was a journalist in the Army.
Me.
I was just as useful as a public affairs officer as JD Vance was. I just see no reason why I can't be there too. I'm just as qualified. I can give him some ideas on, how to remain 100% on OPSEC.
So wait, I guess what we're getting at here is if you're going to be the journalist that accidentally infiltrates the highest levels of the Department of Defense communication chain, is like, be a good journalist. That's the moral of the story, is like, invite a good journalist, not one that sucks shit.
Well, you got to imagine, though, that the only journalists that these guys would have in their Signal contact group are going to be the shitty ones. They're not going to...
Yeah, because the other guy's now the the head of the Department of Defense. And the other guy's over at the FBI.
Yeah. It's not they hired all the shitty journalists to be part of the cabinet, unfortunately. That's the problem. They thought that they had given him a position somewhere in the, like, we got him, right? The Atlantic guy? Yeah, we got him. No.
The real lesson they're going to take from this is next time you let someone into the group chat, make sure they're from Fox or like Newsmax or OAN or something, so they don't fucking go and narc.
Yeah. Invite a higher class of journalists to your war crimes
Invite
chat,
a PFC
please.
that works for Stars and Stripes.
We're gonna have special Corporal PFC Corporal Joe Kasabian added to the PC group chat.
I'm excited for, like, task and purpose style listicles, but it's just like, the top 5 fun things from, like, the bombing Iran group chat.
At least invite someone who's gonna drop a goatsy in there.
Yeah, we gotta, like, if you're gonna truly be completely online, like, because that's what I would do. Like, if I had gotten this, if this text chain had come to me and I'm seeing, the strike package, I'm immediately dropping a picture of Goatsy and saying, all things are green here. Devastation all over.
Have you considered bombing Bofa? Bofa these nuts, bitch. JD Vance in tears.
Or just, oh no, I mean, for the ultimate meta joke, you take the screenshot of the Arrested Development episode where they find out that the pictures of Iraq are really just Tobias's balls, and you're just like, yeah, don't worry, guys, I have updated satellite imagery of the situation, and just like drop the ball pic.
The Houthi small group chats that were all every group chat has now been changed to the Houthi PC small group chats. Everybody,
I'm actually kind of surprised our group chat hasn't changed its name to that.
I thought it would be.
I'll do it now.
I thought it would be a little too gauche. I thought it would be a little too obvious.
Oh yeah, because of all of the things that we've said to each other, that's the one that's a step too far. Even the things we've said on this podcast today.
Look, so guys, remember, if you are going to accidentally get invited to something, you need to have a whole folder full of Goatsy pig poop balls. Obviously, would have been a lot of pig poop balls dropped into that chat. A lot of Goatsy, maybe some some real like 2005 era memes, you know, the like alcoholic alligator or bad luck Brian. Just
little scumbag Steve.
Little
you know,
scumbag,
just like kind of looks like Vance in a way. So I mean, it would be appropriate.
Yeah, we should bring it all back and spam all of your group chats. So gentlemen, thank you for joining me. It is today is my 42nd birthday, and here I am recording the podcast.
Old.
I'm old. I'm so old, guys.
You
I'm
fucking
the
old. You old dusty bitch. Damn you old.
Every time I shit, it's just a puff of dust that comes out. just like every time I bend my knees, you can just hear the grinding and the grating inside of it.
Yes. I got that. I got that one.
So gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Everybody, thank you for listening. I don't know if this is going to be a free bonus. I think it will be. We'll probably release this next week.
Whatever it is, it'll be in the group chat.
We'll be in the group chats. We'll be discussing the strike package of like, you know, my balls hitting your face. There's an F-18 strike package for you.
Deploying gorilla mask time now.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.